So next up, we welcome JonDeTech with the duo of CEO Dean Tosic and COO Leif Borg. You may now present.
Thank you. So my name is Dean Tosic and I'm the CEO of JonDeTech. So first of all, what is JonDeTech for those who don't know us? We are a high-tech company. We're based in Stockholm, and what we're doing is we're in the sensor element industry. We are basically building a nano sensor, which we have proprietary built from scratch over the years, and we are getting very close to launching that in the market. We have also built a small portfolio of other sensor elements, which I'll come back to. We are addressing very large and global growth markets. We run a very slim organization. We have outsourced the production, and we keep the competence, the IP, and the knowledge of going to market within our organization while working with partners where we need to work with partners. The goal for this year is basically to reach revenue generation, and that is an important goal for us. So short about our products and services. We have an IR sensor element, Gyrus 30, which is the nano-based sensor element, proprietary product. We have added another product which is similar but complementary, which is a silicon sensor, and that is basically out in the market today, while our nano-based sensor is coming out to the market very soon. To that, we're adding our software. We have over the years built software components which we can reuse in the customer cases we're running, and services on top of that, development service as well as support services. So what has happened the last 12 months or so since I joined the company? Well, we have had an extremely strong development in the company. We've been paving the way for commercial success. And some of the things that have been happening is that the Gyrus 30, we reached a working sample stage in November. That means that we are in a stage where we soon can start shipping samples to our customers to do prototypes, to test, so they can make decisions later on this year on procurement of our products. That is an important step for the company. When it comes to the silicon sensor, we're working with a partner to integrate that so that we open up a larger addressable market for that sensor element. In its state today, it is a sensor element which we need to build into other products, but when we build it into a module, it's sellable to other types of clients. And this is important for us because it opens up different types of markets for us. We have increased our sales activities based on that we have reached working sample with Gyrus 30, and that has more than doubled our sales funnel the last few months. And this is extremely interesting that we see so many people interested in our products already now. We are also looking at the organization. How do we make sure we have an optimized organization for what we need to achieve this year? Which means that right now we're focusing on development in production and also sales. So that's the two areas that we're focusing on. Everything else is being a bit downscaled in order to reach success in the short run. We need to be wary with where we put our money. And this is the reason why we have gone that way. So what does our products do? What does our products do? We have IR sensing and we have heat flux. That's the basic functionalities of our products. These functionalities can be applied in very many different applications, and some of them you can see here. What we've done here is to draw a picture of where the products that we have are applicable. And the numbers are basically the number of shipped units across the world. We speak about smartphones, where we have recently launched a prototype development together with a partner. when it comes to the thermal painter application, which will hopefully drive sales of our sensors. We're speaking about laptops and tablets for presence detection, also access control systems for presence detection, but we also speak about wearables for measuring temperature, and also looking at applications like the smart band-aids. Things like that is made possible with our products. And the addressable market is huge. And only I think the creativity with our partners is hindering us from finding new application areas. And this is what you see on the future application side of this slide. There's so many other areas which we haven't been moving into yet, but where we see that our products could be used in the future. So we believe there's a really, really strong future for all our products moving forward. So how do we reach these markets, and how do we reach this addressable market? The market strategy we're applying is to have a dual channel. We go through what is called the module houses. On the top, you see an example of that, O-Film. So we have a few ones we're working with today in order to reach the end users of our sensor elements, which could be the brands that you see on the right-hand side of the slide. Now, this is where we see the volumes in the consumer goods area, consumer electronics. On the bottom half, you see the product companies. That's another channel we have. And that's mainly for creating proof of concept projects and making sure that we know our products is working in a certain environment in a certain industry. So we have both go-to-market channels that we are addressing currently. And this is why we have scaled up the sales organization as well to reach these two channels. We're also building an ecosystem. So we see ourselves in the middle of that ecosystem where we have what we call the knowledge partners, which helps us to get the latest research from academic institutions and so forth. But we're also building partnerships with companies that can provide resources to us when we need to scale up. Because we see that when we now start engaging with customers, we need resources to build applications, to support our customers, and to get the design wins that we're looking for. So this is a little bit about the model that we're working in.
Okay, as Dean described, my name is Leif Borg. I'm CEO in the company. I've been here for a little bit more than 4 years now in the company, driving the effort to really going from R&D environment to production. And without going into details, really describing in a short while the thermopile effect that we can create with our design. What you see in the picture is really clusters of nanowires that we can really push into the plastic foil to really create these vias that we can shape a sensor element to produce. But the unique part of JonDeTech is really the nanowire structure that vertically go through the plastic. Why? Yeah, we see that we have the possibility on a really simple way, if we talk about the bill of material, with 98% plastic, roughly 2% metal, we can really shape a sensor as an alternative to the traditional silicon MEMS sensor. This is very cheap to produce, and in high volume, we can really have an USP, really creating value for the price tag, and also the thickness of the sensor. So we can really make a thin and cheap product. As I mentioned on the other picture, we have a plastic substrate. We electroplate 2 different metals in a structured way through litho patterns. And therefore, we have put in the material, and then we connect it through copper on top and bottom. And then we have created a really thin thermometer where we can measure the temperature difference front and back. And what you see is a 3D painting of one of the sensors. And the footprint is also very, very small. It's 3 times 3 millimeter. But we have presented this quite a while now. So we have a legacy that we are ongoing. We will reach the target to really industrialize this product. But what I tried to show in this picture is that on the top level, we can see the standard PCB participants, the parts, the process units that Variprint as our supplier has, let's say, experience for 50 years or more. What we have added to this is new for them. It's the electroplating of nanowires inside the material, not on top, on bottom. So what you can see on the second row, on the green ones, is really showing that the nanowire plating, we have developed and produced and manufactured and set up a brand new wet line to produce the nanowires, connected to a collaboration with Schlötter in Germany, supporting us with industrial chemistry to really make it happen. And what you can see in the picture is that all process parts are now green, meaning that they are established and working. And as Dean mentioned, in November, we had the success that we could show the market that we can have working samples from this flow. Directly, we changed the methodology towards Variprint, really changing the long-term goal with the expansion of both quality controls and also volume to have the plan in progress. But when we do, now we have the process up and running. We have a lot of foils in the system, really producing the full-scale format. And right now we have put in a lot of efforts to get the nanowires, both metal A and B, in the material, and we are in the stage to finalize these products. So during February we will get these foils back, and then we can really present it to the market. We have already some stress tests and some qualifications done, so we know that the functionality is there. So we can either put them into development kit, send to market, or have them as first launch volume to really evaluate the customer projects. So the chain is up and running, we get volumes out, and now it's more or less work in progress to improve yield, quality, and really set the best price ever. And the last step that we haven't performed, just to explain the picture, the yellow line here is that we have sorting and packing, we have a supplier, but we need to supply them with panels so they can execute. And the platform, a long time ago, we talked about the platform for our product. We can use it for IR, which we have informed of a lot of years, but now we see that the G30 element is also suitable for using for the heat flux. Measuring on contact, smart cluster, smart bandage. So we can use this element for both. And here we have two great leads evaluating our G30 for heat flux. But the most important thing right now, the first step out to the market, is IR, and where we have these both key lock and other application. Where we have sat down, looking at the organization, we need to downsize the organization to really have focus on the market. So we will focus fully on IR and heat flux to reach the market. But we also have a pre-study together with KTH to really evaluate and develop a process and the product design to be able to also reach the market with TEG, to generating energy. But that's in an early stage, so it's a pre-study. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. You talked a bit about consumer brands on your PowerPoint. You showed Dell and HP, for example. For the investors that are unfamiliar with your company, can you just tell us where would the consumer meet your products in a laptop or a phone or wherever it would be used?
Good question. We make an electronic component, basically, which will be built into other products. For example, in a laptop, it would typically be inside the laptop, and the functionality would be presence detection to shut down the electronics whenever you leave your laptop, to save battery, to save energy. That's a typical application that we have been testing out and where we have seen a very good functionality from our products. Just to give one example.
Okay, thank you. You had a very busy last few months, I can imagine. And a few days ago, you announced a press release where you have some form of a restructuring of the company, focusing more on sales than R&D. Can you tell us a bit more about this decision?
That's correct. It's a very simple decision because, as I mentioned, when we, after years of work, reached the working sample and we got GIRS 30 out of production, we also realized that there's a huge interest with our clients to actually get hold of those samples to start testing, since the technology is quite new in the market. The nanotechnology with the plastic and the metals that Leif mentioned is something very new. So we see a strong interest, and we want to make sure that we capture the market when the interest is there and when we actually have very soon samples to provide to our customers, because this will pave the way for actual getting the contracts and the design wins moving forward when we actually move into commercial phase later on this year.
And how should the investors think about the cost of doing this restructuring, about the time frame, and there was an audience question about the burn rate after this?
Of course, one part that we're looking at is the capital market, which we are dependent on. And as it looks today, the capital market is very tight out there. So one part of the restructuring that we have is to, of course, lower our operational cost month by month. And this is one of the things that we are addressing in this restructuring, which means that we will cut down on staff, and we will look at other initiatives in order to ensure that we have the proper costume moving forward without missing the targets, because we still need to make sure that we have success with GIRS 30 in production and with GIRS 10 in the market.
Is there any numbers you could give us in terms of how we should think about the cost profile, or we have to see?
I think we'll have to get back to numbers. As you know, we are in the middle of capital acquisition. We have a warrant scheme that is basically being finalized mid-February. And after that, we will have a better picture of where we stand financially, and that will also be a guiding light for us when it comes to making decisions on what the way is moving forward.
And speaking of the capital acquisition, you have the warrants outstanding. I believe you can raise about 40 million or so in the best case scenario. Is there? How do you feel? How secure do you feel about this financial position that you're in?
I think at the end of the day, we'll have to see how the market has reacted to what we have been communicating, what we have achieved over the year, and so on. So I think the February outcome is important to us, and that will give us the guidance on how to proceed. Obviously, raising capital and looking at how to finance the company is something we work with on a daily basis, I would say, and that's driven by the board as well. So we have a strong team working with those questions.
And I can probably guess the answer to this question, but we had an audience question, so I would like to address it. After this capital acquisition, is there any other capital acquisitions you think you need to do, or that's a decision that we have to wait and see for?
I think the way forward needs to be waited for until we see what happens in February and what ways forward we have to choose from. But obviously we are in a capital-intensive industry, so yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
Okay. And you also announced a memorandum of understanding with a Chinese partner. What can you tell us about them?
This is a very interesting deal because we announced in the beginning of last year that we had a patent for what we call the thermal painter, which is a software application. Now what we're doing is we're adding our sensor with this application, putting it in a mobile phone as a prototype. And what Sunshine wants to do is to go out and do market trials with that prototype. So this is what the memorandum of understanding is about. And obviously we have really high hopes that this will be an application that will drive the interest for our hardware as well. And now you see the combination of our knowledge in software and knowledge in hardware, which is combined into a case like this. So we're extremely excited about this project.
And is there anything you can tell us about this partner in terms of their size, in terms of revenue perhaps, or amount of employees they have, or any?
I think there's quite a lot of information to find about them, so I won't mention that at the moment, so I don't say anything that is obviously wrong.
Okay. And can you perhaps tell us a bit more about what this means for your commercial progress?
I think this might be a very good case to drive the progress. We have a number of customer cases where we are driving progress, of course, but this is the most interesting one in terms of combining the knowledge we have in both software and hardware, and a partner which is willing to take it to the market to do to see how far we can go with it. Definitely.
Okay. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you for watching.
Thank you.